Hello, hello, Rhoda here. Welcome to my craft room. Today we're going to work on this little book. I think I showed it to you as a sneaky peek a while back. It may have been a month ago. It's been a while, guys. But it was the little book that opens up and you have a pocket here. You have a side tuck there. You have my pretty papers that I'd made, a doily, and it had one of my wedding envelopes in it. We're going to use something else today, but that's the general gist. I did stenciling, and I used this great big perspective butterfly. And then I have a saying. So we're going to work on that with a few different papers and things. I never can make the same thing twice. So my cat is jumping around. I'm trying to keep these two books so I can show you where these papers came out of. Anyhow, all right, here's the sneaky peek. Thank you for coming to visit and to see what's going on today. Here we go. We're finally on the page with the sweater pocket. Now, I know I've shown you this before, and I even have a video on it. Oh, let me find my paperweight. There we go. So what happens is it seems to be folded a little different than it should be, but anyhow, it's supposed to be these two are level with each other. But Mrs. Scrapbooking with me, Mrs. Edith, she showed something where it was a wraparound pocket kind of situation. So she probably just had it flush at the top with a thumb pull in it. And I don't know why, but I thought of sweater. You know, my mind goes in squirrel directions. So I used this paper that I had from a paper pad that looks like a woven sweater and cable knit maybe. I used brads for the buttons. I used a snowflake design I've got, a die cut, and I've got it on vellum. I just cut a circle of vellum and then I glued the gold foil snowflake onto it. And then I have the tag which goes inside. And the snowflake was on both sides. I just did it that way so it didn't look weird. But you can write on the back. Everything I make I usually like to do where you can use it. Now that little bit of paper you see there is only glued inside of it. Just for the neck area. It was a one-sided paper, and you're not going to see inside of it, so you don't have to worry about it. Oh, that's what it is. She has that pushed up too far. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, and that's pushed down. There we go. There's how it should be. So, and then when you put it on the page, you just wrap it around. Now, I took and kind of stamped on the page this star design I had. It had 6 points like a snowflake. I said, let's do all the cozy things. I also have like a little stamp that's like the quilt patterns, I guess you'd call it. That's an Ohio star. I believe that's what that pattern is. But the way this works, you wrap it around your page and use a paper clip, a clip of sorts, whatever you might have. I just made one with a little rough made snowflake. A snowflake's not going to make it. Now this page is another one of my pages that I did with, what is under here? Okay, it's not one to sit down. I guess it's because that thing on the front. This page was, where did I get that background paper? I think I got that from something from Angela Kerr. And then I did these glitter paste snowflakes through the opposite, you know, the negative of a stencil. I showed you that before. And I did the two little dots that I got from the Dollar Tree. Now this I saw from Gail Augustinelli. Now she had it here on this corner, and when she pulled it, it pulled up. But the way I made mine, it pulls over. I think that's easier to write on, tell you the truth. Well, on this side, I had to make sure I got it right side up. I've got kind. That's Gail's main word. I've got Mary definition over here. I just used some scraps to line the back of this paper here. And then it goes down like that as well, where you can write in here, and nobody would really know. And then I just decorated it with that little lady from the kit. And this is washi, and that's a couple more of those snowflake punches. And it's got hopeful. So that's real easy to make. I've made them before. I don't think I've ever done a video on them. So I may have to remember to do that. Oh, this poor little snowflake keeps jumping off. All right, I gave it a bigger paper clip, so hopefully it'll hold. All right, let me mark my next spot. I probably won't be using that until after I get back. I'm slipping this video in. I may be putting it in front of all the others because it's really, really spring-like out there. It's like 65. Oh, maybe hotter. But this is the paper I picked to make the books out of. And it came from preserved paper, which is one of my favorite paper pads. And it's got like two-sided papers in it, so I don't have to worry about stenciling. It's got this pretty gold, which will be my outside. And then it's got kind of a written script kind of inside. It's got a date of 1920, Springfield, Missouri. That's kind of neat. I think I have family that live there. So then we're going to be cutting this down to make it the dimensions of this little booklet. Then, like I said, I used Perspective Butterfly from Tim Holtz, 665201. And, yeah. It has, yeah, the same thing back here, Perspective Butterfly. But it's not a fun little thing to cut out. If you run your die cut through your machine several times, you can usually get it to pop out for you. But I didn't learn that on the first one, so I'm sitting there picking out all these little things. Oh, but, you know, you still have to do a lot of picking. Like at least 10 to 15 minutes worth. But I got 2 butterflies out of it because we're going to make 2 books. Then I chose this, which is a very pale... It's not exactly a pink. It's sort of in the pink line, but it's a skin tone kind of a thing. I got it for $4.97 at Michael's. They were getting rid of this brand, I guess, Craft Smart. But it had all these colors of pink in it. And so I chose that to go with my background on these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this and trace my outline. And we'll do that right now before I go ahead and put that away. So let's just get my pencil and we'll do this an outline. And I think I measured it or looked at it and it's big enough for both. And this is the way I did that little booklet there I just made. I just kind of went around it. Well, I hope everybody's getting outside and enjoying themselves today. Boy, like I said, it's about 60, 65. I'm hot. This is shorts weather for me. So I'm ready to cut a rug over there in West Virginia with my shorts on. The only problem is you get into those woods where the cemeteries are at. We still got to go to this one that you got to climb up the pretty steep hillside to. And sometimes it's got, you know, rose bushes and jaggers and all kinds of other stuff to leap out and get you. Ugh, I'm still sporting a huge scar from that tree limb that tried to take me with it. That was where we were trying to get up that one holler, and so we got the one guy. He's a policeman, and that's his family that owns that holler, and we kept trying to get up in it and catching somebody that lived there at the mouth of the road, but we never could get the lady at home or catch her. So we just decided to post it on our page, and luckily somebody popped up. It was him and said that was his family and he would be happy to take us up in there. I'm kind of off center here. Good grief. Well, I'll trim that down. All right, this little guy can go home. And we'll get to cutting that out a little bit later. I need to measure this book. I can't quite remember how big it was. Now, I have a little Velcro closure in it. And I don't think I folded it up. It kind of looks like I did, but I made it gusseted. That's right. Yeah, it's a little gusseted pocket. So basically, this is only, what's that, 9 inches? It's 9 by 6. So that's all we have to do is cut 2 of those. And then our remnants from this is what's going to make our pockets. So let me get a few more of these things out of the way. Okay, I got my cutting pad over here. So we're going to do 6 and 6 first. And then we're going to cut it down to 9. This one has some kind of a piece where you cut it, you rip it out of the pad. I never have been a fan of these pads though, because they got that round dot right in the middle. And I guess that was because you would hang it in the store. I'm not really sure because, you know, usually the paper pads are laying down. Okay, we're going to go over to the 9. And then we're going to cut this in half. Or cut this off. Now that part is what I'm going to use for my pocket. Hopefully it's going to do both pockets. We may have to cut one pocket down a little bit. Or substitute another paper. That kind of thing. Because how did I do that? I did. I used another paper in there. That part I didn't. So this part is the one that I used back here. And I did a punch here to do a little decorative. And then I put a strip behind it to make that stand out. And then I just used another paper there. So we'll have to find another paper along the lines. But this is a one-page wonder. I love those. I love them. Alright, I found this piece that was not going to go into my farm journal, which all I got to do is sew it in the signature. And I've got it all decorated yesterday. I stayed up all day working on that thing. So, anyhow, we're going to, I think we're going to cut it right here. Just to level this off. And cut it right here to level that off. And that'll be less confusing for me. Because our pocket needs to be 6 inches wide. And that's just about going to give me enough. Because I'm going to do a gusseted pocket. So it may not need to be quite that wide. Well, oh, it's 9 inches wide. I was thinking 6. It's only 4.5. Okay. So, let me rethink this. So, if it's 4.5, 5.5. If I want a 1/2 inch gusset on each side, it needs to be 5.5. Okay. Get yourself together, Rhoda. And then I'm going to cut it in half. Which this is just a little over 5. So we'll just go 2.5. And now what we want to do is score. So we're going to score it at 1/2 inch on each side. 1/2 inch. And then we're going to do a 1/2 inch score at the bottom. It's not going to be too deep of a pocket, but that's okay. Okay, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Okay. That's usually the way I make a gusseted pocket. And then you go in here and you trim it. You do like a little angle going into that corner where the 2 seams cross. And then I kind of just bend it down. It takes the bulk out of your corners and makes it easier to fold. Okay. I figure since I'm doing kind of a flower theme here, the watering cans may work perfect. So, there's those 2. We just have to cut our little thing out the top, and I'm going to set those to the side until we do the pockets. Alright, now, we want to find which way is up. That way is up. And then just go in here and just fold it. Fold it in half. So you know where your middle's at. That's going to help us. The hard part's going to get to be where you glue this butterfly. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you. That thing takes a lot of gluing. all those little fine parts. I guess there's a way to do that on a sticky paper. I've yet to figure it out. So, what we're going to do here is more than likely, I'm just going to glue them down to this. And then I'll trim them out. And I'll come back and show you. I don't want to make you have to go through me gluing. Although I could do one. Because I could tell you a few stories maybe while I'm gluing. Okay, my grandma Rhoda had a sister, Idabelle. She was the oldest sister that was a full-blooded sister. She did have one through the first wife, or I'm sorry, the first husband of her mother, Mary Elizabeth Mills. Now, Mary Elizabeth Mills, her mom and dad were from Kentucky, I'm imagining. But there's been evidence that shows her dad was born in North Carolina. He was a John Mills. I have not been able to figure that much out about him. He had several wives through his life. And so it's kind of hard to research him because, you know, that's an awful common name. And can't even find a good birth or death on him. So anyhow, that is who Mary Elizabeth Mills, my great-grandma, who her dad is. And her mother was Ruthie Salmons. Now, I have Salmons that come in a couple different ways. So that was a very prosperous family over there in Kentucky, especially around Lawrence County, Kentucky, and the ones that butt up against West Virginia. So we have my great-grandma, and she had married a Cart Salmons at the first time. Now, he was a cousin, first cousin, I believe, to the second husband. I don't know if that's how they met or what happened there. But she married Cart Salmons, and I know you've heard me talk about him before, because he was something. She had a baby crawling, is how my cousin Carol, her mother, told her these things. And her mother was the daughter of Idabelle, my grandma's sister. So that's how it's in the family, and a pretty good source of information. She had a really good mind all the way up to when she passed. So she said that when Polly, they called her Polly, Mary Elizabeth, she had a baby crawling and had just had another one. Her and Cart were really bad to be arguing. They argued all the time. So what happened was he wanted to teach her a lesson, and he left. And he never came back, is how she said it. And she went and got a divorce. Now, I've never found this divorce. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. Sometimes those records just don't get put in the courthouses and such. I don't know. Don't get filed. It's really hard to find a lot of things over there, as you've heard me say. Well, what happened was she got a divorce, and then she married Fred Salmons. And that is my great-grandfather. Now, she did have another child. She did have a Kelly Markham Salmons. And I always thought he was, Cart Salmons' son, but I don't think he was. If the way her mother says, he left and never came back. I think I know who the Kelly Salmons is. I think he's named after his daddy. Oh, so anyhow, they had Idabelle, and then Effie, James Harrison, and then my grandma. So the The one thing was Idabel married a picture taken. He was called Picture Taken D, of course. But he was Moses D, and he was a Markham. There was 3 of the girls that married Markhams. And he went in to be a lawyer at first, thinking he wanted to do that because his older brother, half-brother, was doing that. Found out it wasn't for him. After a year, he found out that was not for him. So he went and apprenticed or something with a guy and up in Portsmouth, Ohio. And then he got his camera and started going all around the neighborhood taking photos. I'm going to move this over a little bit. Of course, I got a cat out there wanting in the door, but he's going to have to wait because I got to get this down. He got to wait. It's been so nice today, they all wanted to go out. All right. And that's how it's done. It's not a very pleasant thing to do, but it's the only way to do this butterfly, I believe, and make it successful. Okay, so I went ahead and glued both of them down, and now I have this one to put on the cover, and you have to score down his poor little body to get him to bend a little bit. I glued this down with my Bearly Arts, so I'm not so sure it's going to bend like I want it to. So I'm going to see if I can put my ruler against it and see if I can push it up to make that bend start. Once I have it glued down, I think it'll do good. I just wanted to give it a little bit of a start first. Well, Graylin, I had it wrong. He didn't want out or in. He wanted out. He was standing there waiting for me. Oh, goodness. So anyhow, Picture Taken D. He always made sure Great-Grandma Polly had a copy of photos, especially if they were from the family. And you know what? Over there, they lost photos right and left. A lot of times it was a fire in the house, a flood come through, like you saw me on one of my other videos talking about it. So all I'm going to do is put glue on the back side of this and glue him down. Yeah, so they lost them. They lost photos right and left. So since my family moved over here, away from those type of dangers, although they could have happened here as well, depending on where they lived, and in the moving process, you sometimes will lose stuff. So they knew that Polly treasured her photos. So she always got a copy. And we had so many. And hardly nary a name on the back of it now. I had to like take photographs from, you know, when I knew them in a group, like a family group, I had to like try to identify their features in these older photos. So it was hard pressed. I had the one that had a name on it was Polly's with her first son, Leif. So it was hard pressed, but to get them figured out. But I did. I do have some that I never did figure out. And it just eats at me, you know. It eats at me. I can't figure out who those people are. They got to be somebody close in the family for her to have them. Had to be either her family, the Salmons, some Markhams, who knows. That's just a shame. Now, if you've got a parent or something that knows some older photos that nobody else would know, get them to name them. If you have a grandmother, get them to name them. Write it on the back in pencil, if nothing else. I have seen so many. Now, Jody just sent me some cabinet cards, and they actually have the names and stuff on the back. And, you know, it's shocking to me that those got let out of the family, to tell you the truth. Okay, we're going to do this little guy right here, our saying. Now, I've got a different saying. So what I need to do is get my cutter up here, and I'll probably shake the ground under me, but yeah. I do need to stamp first, though. That's true. So let me get my makings over here. Here we go. Let me set that to the side. Now, my sister gave me this card. It's pink. I'm going to use it. I'm going to stamp it in some of these spots that you can't, that don't have any lettering or anything on it. I'm going to cut my edges. So, I mean, you know, save your envelopes. You can always cover the front of it with a pretty image and use the rest of it. Now this part I'm not going to need for right now. But this here, I thought I would do this. May your day be filled with good things. It's from Crafter Square from the Dollar Tree. And get it out. And I don't know what I used some that may have been what you call it, ink that won't come out. The archival, that may have been that color, that orange. All right, so let us get, and we're going to heat emboss it. How about that? Okay, I got all my pieces and parts out here. I got my gold embossing powder. I got my paper plate. I got my watermark stamp pad, so I can put that glycerin down that's going to hold the powder. And then when I heat it, it's going to make it shine. Yep, so I need to make enough room. Let me do it this way so I can cut it out. Okay, do the second one down here. I'm making sure I leave enough room to cut that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is going to put it on here and pour powder on. So, great grandma, another story that Ida Bell must have told her daughters, and that came down to my cousin, was about lighting. And where it was, let's see if I can get this out right. There was a group of men, about 3 or 4 of them, that was up in the mountains, and they wanted to preserve the Appalachia history. So what they would do is they would go around, oh crap, go around and talk to all these different people. And they talked to my grandma's sister, yeah, Ida Bell. I'm kind of flustered. I spilt my goodie. But this is how you can do it to clean it up. And see, I've gotten almost all of it back up again. I just don't want to mess up my saying that I did, though. Okay. I think that's good. All right. And then, yep. that fixed it. There's some troubleshooting for you right there. So they lived up in the mountains, and one time they went to see my grandma's sister, Ida Bell. They called her the Little Laurel Lady. So what they would do, they would interview them and ask them about their life and how they would do things and what they did here and there and stuff like that. A lot of times it was, you know, something that only they would have known up in the mountains and how they lived without power and running water and things like that. There we go. So the one question that I recorded in my notes on Ida Bell was, she was saying, they asked her what she did for lighting, and she said she said that they usually used kerosene light or lamps. But when they got out of kerosene, they used pine light. And the guy questioned what that was. And he says, well, she says that's where you would take really long pine splinters about the length of your elbow, and you would light them. And you just had to be aware that once they got down close to your fingers, that was going to hurt if yeah, you let it drip on you or anything. And Idabelle was telling the guy that one time her mother was sewing her a dress. This would have been Polly. And she was holding the light there for, and I'm putting this little piece of tape to hold that baby still. But she was holding the pine tar, or the pine splinter light up so Polly could see to sew. This is, I'm sure, after, dark. Because, they didn't do much of anything except work and up till dusk. So she's sitting there holding it, and she says there was pine sap that would actually come out of this splinter at places, and that's what happened. And of course she's standing there barefoot, so she says that it came out, and it while she was holding the splinter, and it hit a spot on her foot that just happened to have a spot of tar that was the same size as the pine sap that came out. And she says that hurt. Oh my gosh. But yeah, she wanted that dress. Her mom was fixing her a dress. She would, I guess, walk around and or be outside and such, or I'm sure they had socials, things like that. I know church was a main a place to be meeting your husband, and you didn't want you didn't want it to be somebody you went to church with all the time. You wanted it to be some kind of visiting person, like they were having a revival, and maybe this guy that was preaching brought in some of his congregation with him, or his family with him, however that would work. And you might meet your future husband or wife that way. So that's kind of interesting. It's so close-knit over there. You don't want to marry somebody that's there. Okay, I got that put away. Next. Now, I got these punches ages ago. When I first started even thinking about doing anything with scrapbooking or making journals for my family tree, that kind of stuff. I got these down at a shop down in Harrisonburg, and it's where you would do a continuous design, and you have to line it up just right. I have a chain one here. There's this one that I used on the other one. I guess it's like a fan. And then I have this one that's hearts. I thought we'd use the hearts this time. So let me get them out of the way. I had another one, and it broke. Something happened to it and it broke. But this may not be very easy to do. It's going to jimble and jumble all over the place. It's about the right height, so we're good there. So there's these two little marks right there, and I know that's where I need to start. So you put it down there and you push it in, and then you're going to push down with your hand. Ooh, it's, like I say, it's not that easy. Now what I need to do is go over here and line the little image up with the image that's there, right here. And then we're going to push down again. I hope it cooperates. These things are old as the hills, And so, this one, I think. And that'll be our last one. I need to do this side, too, because I've got that little piece at the end that didn't get caught. All right, there we go. And get all the little giblets out of the way, as Miss E calls them. I laughed my head off that day she said giblets. Like, now I was a gizzard girl. I like the gizzards out of a chicken, I guess. I know. Crazy stuff, right? Okay, now what I'm going to do here is glue that down because I don't want, and how much is that right underneath of it? All those little ripples to distribute your card from going in there, you know. Because you're probably going to put a little journal card or a tag or something in the back, and you don't want that to mess you up. So this is a good way of doing it. I don't know if they've got these things out there anymore or not, or they've adapted to, you know, the punches you see today. More than likely they've done adapted to newer made things. These older versions are much harder to find. Okay. Now what we're going to do is cut that little piece off, save that for the other book, and cut this off. And we're going to glue this one in the back. Then we're going to, I might have to cut it down a little bit, or do we? I want to cut it down just a little bit. Where's my cutter? All right. Let's see. That right there is good. I just don't want it to be so big you can't get anything in it. And while I'm over here pecking around, let me go ahead and put this over here and cut me. Let's say I'll be cutting all the nozzles off, so you won't even know what that is, but you can see that lower one there. So we're good. Let's see. All right, let's glue this in. Yeah, I can only imagine how it was to live back then. Oh, I glued that in upside down. Look at that. Look at that. And I even told you to watch out for that. Oh well. It's got to go this way. Because the butterfly has to point up. A life in a day of a crafter, right? All right, I think everything else is good. Now we're going to work on our front pocket, which is this one. And we're going to take and, I'm reaching for a bone folder and I pull out a ruler. All right. Like I told you in the other video, you do your sides first, and then you do your back or bottom. So it won't hinder your card from sliding in, and you won't hit this, because you sure will. All right, let's see. That goes right there. I think it might be a little bit too big. Let's go in just a little bit more on it. Well, I'm trying to fold it without having to get in there and, you know, rescore it. Yeah, that's better. I want a little bit of room right there, just a little bit. All right, before I glue that down, we are going to glue something else there. We have some little flowers over here, because I just have the saying on the front, basically. Then these other flowers are kind of telling a tale. But I may put a flower up in there. But inside, we have our peaches and our doily. And butterfly on the pocket, which I already have basically. So what we need is something here, because I'm going to glue down and I'll be hiding all of that behind there. Here's another one. Do I want that? Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Because I'm going to have some flowers on the doily, unless I just change that up. Yeah, I may just change that up. And I got one little piece right there. Yeah, I kind of did this in another little booklet I made. My tunnel books. I may have to have a redoing of those, because those are really fun to do. And you can do so many different varieties. Okay. Now, let's have this going up like that. Hopefully it takes your eye away from the upside down text. Oh, goodness. All right. And I got this one. This is a little harder to do because it's got all those little nicky-nackies on it. So I usually just kind of take and brush upward. Yeah, Grandma, or great-grandma, Polly, she liked to smoke her a pipe. So she would take and hold her little pipe in her hand, like her fingers were out, and she cupped the bowl of the pipe like this and smoked it like that. And she would cut up her tobacco in her hand with a little knife like that and cut up the leaves. And they did grow tobacco over there. My grandma's brother, James Harrison, he would grow it for that. Now, back in the Depression time, when they were poor and couldn't afford tobacco because it was so expensive at that point, they would actually take corn silk from the corn and they would dry it and they would smoke that. That's one thing my dad would tell me, because he'd seen them do it. And they were running low on cash. Alright, we're going to go all the way out to the edge of this corner and come down and make that. It's not quite even, but that's okay. Now I got this little mushroom. He's sort of on the red side, but I'm going to not worry about that. And I don't think it's a sticker. I don't think it is. I'm going to cut this little bit off that I don't like. See if I can do it all at one shot. Come back around here. I guess these machines just can't get that cut exact. Alright. So we'll go with that. I'll put him down here on the ground, just so I can use that up. I'm still going at it. We're only using money that might be on like coupons or gift cards and things like that. So I've not been spending anything. So far so good. Alright, I'm liking the thought of a butterfly in here. He's kind of purple. I do have a pinky one. He's purple too, but he got a little bit more pink in him. I do have a pale one. He's too pale. He needs some some iron. Oh gosh. Alright, so we're going to put this one down. Right there. He's flying around the pretty flowers. All right, now what we want to do is to... I thought one of these little birds might sit really good back here. He's not sitting on anything. That's the problem. I wanted to set him there, but his tail sticks down. All right. Let's fold this and see how bad it is. Oh, there's my boy. Okay, it came up a little bit, so I'm going to clamp it after we're all is said and done. So let me go ahead and put this little flower on the front. I like him up there. He's a different color of pink, and he can be hidden underneath of the saying, his little stem at the bottom. Yeah, I had to do some die cutting before I started, and got a few little flowers cut out, used up some scraps. Oop. There we go. Yeah, my dad, he, I think either he told me or somebody else about Polly and her daughter Rhoda, who's my grandma, would sit on the porch after all the chores were done, and at night, and Polly would have a cedar chest in there somewhere, and she was storing her whiskey, which of course is moonshine, but she liked it with bitters in it. So she would put her bitters in it and let it sit in the cedar chest for a while and get all mixed together real nice. And then she would sit on the porch with Grandma, and they would sip it. And they didn't swill it like the men did. They would just like sip a little bit and then smack their lips together to get the taste to go good, you know. Which is kind of cool. You know, this might be a place for my bird. You know, just maybe. Let's do our bird. I got this one, or I got that other one, but I think I like this one better. Yeah, I always thought that was kind of a cool idea. I guess they, you know, besides water, what did the women drink? Once in a while, I think they needed something good, something different. Guess they had tea back then, though, didn't they? I've heard them talk about coffee, but I don't think I've ever really heard them talk about tea. All right, so what we're going to do next is fix up our closure. I think we'll go ahead and do that. Now this little piece here, I think it's not quite wide enough. It has to be wider. So let me find, I got these little strips left over. Let's use them. I'm gonna measure it to be about right there. And see, oh, I dropped it. Let's see if it's still a little bit too big. So let's take a little bit more off of you. There. Yep, that's about right. Now I'm going to take and just lay it against this one, because it needs to be two-sided. Oh, let me just go ahead and glue it, then I'll cut it. So it's a little stronger, you know. And I might be able to get both of them, you know, both books out of this one stretch right here. But yeah, don't be shy about using your scraps. You need to get rid of them things. Alright, I'm going to cut it now. Against that. Got that. Now the only thing is, ooh, it didn't like that very well. Let's do this. I need to round it off. And I'm trying to remember how I rounded it off. Oh, I know now. I use this. So what we're going to do is put the rounded side in there. And then that side. Oh, I didn't want to go all the way through because it was still wet. But it did. Alright, so that's how I made it. And like I said, it's only to about right here where that's that one. Yep, I got both of them at one. Hot dog. Okay. So here's my strap. And we're going to go ahead and glue that on real quick while we work on the papers. Now this is not quite an inch wide. So, but it gets the job done. Get that out of the way. Get my birds out of the way. Put this down about right in the center. And then I'll set my paperweight on it. There we go. And then we'll put the goo gauze on it later, the Velcro strips. Now, what I need to do now is to do the papers. And here was all my papers I had chosen. I've got an envelope and a doily for this one. And then I have these 4 pages. They were just pages I dyed. I did this one in the oven because you can see the Oneida right in the center. That one I did outside, and you can see the real dark color on the outside. And I did that one outside. And I think this one outside. This was just notebook, but it kind of disappeared on me with the, you know, the colors. Now, this is 8.5 by 11, so I'm going to be cutting them this way, right? Yeah, perfect. So they're going to get cut at 5.5. And I'm going to do them all at the same shot. Trying to get that notebook paper in right in the center. I'm going to stick them all in here. Whoa. There we go. And come down to 5.5. Is all she wrote. Clean as a whistle. Alright, that's done. Now, I'm going to fold these in half. Like that. I think that's about right. Did I get everybody? Yeah. And then we have an envelope to go in, and we have this to go on the outside. We can fold that. And then our envelope we need to fold. Okay, and I'm going to tuck it. Actually, I think I'm going to tuck it in the center. The envelope. That's how I'm going to do it this time. Now, I don't know about that peeking out the top. I'm not crazy about that, so it's got to go. And then we got to put this on the outside. And then we're going to put this in here. This way. And I got to get my clips. I probably need to cut down that doily because it's... Let me pull it down so it's all kind of balanced out at the top. And then I'll trim it. Okay, that's good. Now, let me get some clips. Okay, now when your books are this small, you don't need to worry about doing, you know, the several versions of like poking holes, you know, in the cover and in the pages. you can just do it like this. And I'm trying to get all my notebook pages just about right. And you can just clip it in like that. And then I'll usually go to the bottom and do the opposite. Now, all we gotta do is find our pokey tool. It's in here somewhere. And we're going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And you always want to hold it up at a little bit of an angle. But I think is that dead center? I think it is. And we're doing one up here, about 1 inch from the end, and down here, 1 inch from the end. Okay. Get my foam out of the way, and then I've got my floss. We're going to do 1, 2, and I might go ahead and do 3 so I can tie a bow. This is number 224 in case you're interested. I have a lot of floss, and I haven't been doing anything with it, but I probably need to. Alright, then you're just going to go in and out. Now this might help my butterfly, to tell you the truth. I didn't think about it. I'll go right there. Go up to the top. This is Mrs. E's version of the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And then you go into the center again. And when you come in, see this thread is on that side. I want to be on the other side. And try not to run your needle through the thread that's there already. That's the one thing you want to look out for. Alright, how much do I have? I've got a little bit more on that side, so nope, that's the opposite. Okay. I'm trying to give myself a little bit more thread on that other side. There, I think that was it. Now, let's tie a bow. I don't know if I did it or not, but yeah, everything's tight. Gonna do a knot. And do us a bow. These little booklets they're fun to make. They don't take too much of your time if you don't do anything too exhausting like these die cuts, like that butterfly. And now all you do is take it off. And now what we want to do is push it down a little bit more. Make sure you train your fold to stay down. Like that. I just push. I'm not rubbing because I don't want to go against my butterfly. And, oh God, it's going to be on that bird's head. Look at that. I didn't even think about it. The poor bird. Poor bird. Alright, I'm going to get my Velcro sticky dots. And put me one on the thing here. And then I'm going to put the fuzzy one on it. Didn't want to come off. Gonna put that on it. And let go of me. And then we're going to fold it around and do that. You might want to let a little bit be, let it have a little give. Just so you might put, in case you put something fat in there. It takes up a lot of room. Alright, so I think we're done. So here's our little booklet. Here's our previous booklet. Oh, I did have these 2 butterflies here. I was going to choose to put one of them in there. I got that butterfly and that butterfly. Let's see. Poor little bird. I think I was going to put it in here on the first page somewhere. Maybe this one. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty. Let's do that. These are those butterflies that Tommy gave me. And I've been trying to use them up. That is Paper Crafting with Miss Tommy. Well, I'm at the point where I would like to thank you for coming by to see me. And to wish you well and having a great, great day like I'm having here. And leave me a like, thumbs up, comment. Any of those help me greatly. Okay, the way ours is here, we have a little pocket. Oh, let me get this little scrap of paper, sorry. So you got a little pocket right here. Those flowers are trying to fight me. Then you have your pockets back here where your envelope is at. So you got a pocket there and you got a pocket here. And I kind of like it where it's in the center. I don't like the way that bow's doing, so he might get cut off. And then you have just your other little papers in here. And then you got your back pocket. And it's actually a tuck. So you can tuck something in there. So I hope you enjoyed this and are going to give it a try. Try not to put a dot on your bird, though. But there's other ways of tying this shut. You can do just a tie. You can do an elastic band. There's quite a few things you could do to it. So anyhow, thank you. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.